Hey everybody, it's Lauren here from Counter Holiday Lights. In this episode, we are in search of a crazy mythical creature that has been seen by tens of thousands of people, yet rarely caught on film with any kind of clear-cut video footage. In Florida, they call him the skunk ape. In Arkansas, he's known as the Fook monster. And people in Missouri adore their beloved Momo. Australians call him the Yowie, and in the Himalayas they call him the Yeti. And we have even seen this creature in beloved children's holiday shows, and we call him the Bumble. Where I hail from in the Pacific Northwest, it's known as Skookum or Bigfoot. Yet up until tonight, there truly has not been any clear-cut video evidence of their existence. And we're here to show you this mythical 12.5-foot tall, 5-foot wide at the base creature known as the Sasquatch Mega Tree. And we'll take you through the entire journey, from putting the hole in the ground, the steps we did to secure the base, the lights, the controllers we used. We'll cover the cost of this total build so you can see, and ours has 3,200 lights in it. We hope you enjoy our journey with the Sasquatch Mega Tree. All right, everybody, let's kind of jump into this, and just a couple of housekeeping things before we get too deep into the mire here. One, this is not a sponsored video. This is just a particular build that we did in the Christmas 2021 season that we thought we would share with the community, and hopefully you find it interesting and get some good, useful information out of it to help you make a decision on how you are going to create your new Mega Tree for your display this year. We do have some timestamps in the description we'll put in there. So if there's a certain thing you'd like to skip ahead on or jump to, if you need to jump back and forth, there'll be some quick links built in there. As well as every product that we discuss, we will make sure that there are links in the description. So if you want to go to that particular vendor, or maybe it's something we purchased off Amazon, you can go there and purchase those items for yourself. With that said, we are having a contest again, and like we said, it's not a sponsored video, but this product happens to come from the same vendor as the tree. It's a Mattos full animation kit. It's something that we won at the Christmas Expo last year. We don't do anything that's animated, so we've been saving it for the right time to give it away. And what better place than to give it away when we're going to talk about the Sasquatch Mega Tree build. So to win this particular item, you are going to have to have liked the video and then put a comment in the comments that we ask you to comment about at the end of the video. So you have to go all the way to the end to find out what you need to say in the video to qualify for this contest. And we will give it away at the end of April, and it can go to anyone. We will ship it worldwide. It doesn't matter. You are all welcome to enter, and you will all get this wonderful animation kit for free. So with that, let's kind of jump right into it and talk about some of the things you need to think about when you're creating your Mega Tree, as well as some of the processes and the reasoning behind some of the things that we did for our particular tree. And the first thing really is, how tall do you want to go? How wide do you want your tree to be? And there could be a lot of factors in it. For us, our yard is only 24 feet by 24 feet, our front yard. We have a great big backyard, but our front yard, tiny, because we're at the top of a cul-de-sac. And so we lost a lot of yard space. And so we didn't want a super giant tree with a really big base, because that would kind of overpower everything else. And there wouldn't be any room to put anything else in our display, really. It would kind of overpower stuff. So we wanted something about 12-ish feet tall. Our last tree was 8.5. We wanted to go about 4 feet taller. Just visually, we thought that would be a good size. And we also didn't want it too wide at the bottom for a couple of reasons. One, we like a skinnier tree. And I know the rule of thumb typically is, and there's nothing wrong with this rule of thumb, half of the height should be your base. But we wanted our pixels to be denser and tighter. Last year's tree was 50 pixels going up and down, and it was 2-inch spacing, and the base was a little wide. There wasn't a lot of definition. So that's why this year we are increasing our pixels to 3,200, because we're going to do 32 strips of 100 pixels. And we want it tight at the bottom. So we made our base 5 feet wide for a 12.5-foot tall tree. and that meant the spacing at the bottom of our tree was just about 2 inches at the bottom where the gaps were. So inch, and it was a great definition, as you can see by the image there. You can do a lot of great things with the spacing like that when it's tighter at the bottom. Now, the other thing that we had to think about when we were getting ready to buy everything is how are we going to get this tree to be 12 and a half feet tall with 100 pixels, only 100 pixels. Because if we did 1 inch spacing, it's 8.3 feet, which is what we had last year. If we did 2 inch spacing, then we would have 16 and a half if we used a whole strand. And we kind of wanted to use a whole strand. We could have gone, maybe 75 pixels up and down to cut that in half, but we wanted a little bit tighter definition too. So we actually had some custom strips made. And there is one vendor out there, Holiday Coro. Yeah, roll your eyes, some people. But you know what? I've never had an issue with the few things that I bought from them because they have fit my particular need. And for this, they will do custom strips any spacing you want. And so we went with 1.5 inch spacing, which gave us exactly a 12.5 foot tree if we used 100 pixels, which was perfect because we wanted to do 100 up and down and then do another fresh line. Because for us personally, we don't power inject in our display at all. Everything is just one port per number of pixels, and we'll run anywhere between 200 and we've gone as high as 400 pixels per port and never had an issue with it for our display. And so that means now we're going to use 16 ports to do 32 strips and another port to do the star at the top, which is 270 nodes. And we had no issues with that. Now, if you're going to power inject, great. That means you need less of a controller to run your tree. That's what that's going to help you do. So that spacing was a perfect amount. It helped us get the height we wanted, the 12.5 feet, add the star on top. Now we've got about a 15.5 foot tall tree. And you will lose a little bit of height with the angle. That's just how a strip will work, but not that much where it's going to make that much of a difference. The next thing we had to think about, and that you need to think about, is how do you want to secure your mega tree? Do you want to do a portable hole where you can move your tree from one location in your yard to another? Should you want to change up your display? That's a great way to be able to do that. For us personally, we knew because of the size of our yard, we wanted it centered right in the middle of our yard, and it's never going to be in another place. So we decided to go with an in-ground mount system, and we will cover that in depth. We have a lot of pictures that we took during that process, and we'll kind of talk through that process so you can see exactly what happened and some of the things you need to do safety-wise when you are digging a hole like that. And then the last thing is, you're going to do a solid pole, or you're going to do like an ASAP pole, the Monkhouse version, which was brought to us. And we decided to go with the solid pole because it's only 12.5 feet tall. We actually have a pole that's 16 feet tall because it's going to go in the ground. But it's one pole that with me and a neighbor were able to just easily lift it up and drop it into the mount system that we made and secured it in place. And then we didn't have to worry about anything. It was solid. There was no possible flexibility points, no extra weak points in there should I have made an ASAP pole incorrectly. And I felt a lot safer by doing just a solid pole for that height. If you're going to go taller than that, you may want to do the ASAP style because it probably could be an easier thing to do to get that extra height that you want to do. So that is all of the different things that we thought about in the planning for building our particular tree. So with that, let's go ahead and we're going to jump onto some vendor pages and kind of show you what pricing we paid for everything. Okay, so we're on Mattos' website, and this is where we got the pieces for our mega tree. We bought them all individually, but he has a kit that you can get on pre-buy right now. It's only on pre-buy, but you can select what kind of topper you want, whether you want to have a 32, 48, or 64 hole topper. And we went with the 64 because it's 32 for a 180, 64 for a 360. And then we picked the buried base, but you can also pick a portable hole base or a standalone base. And what that gives you is it gives you the star mount, it gives you the pulley cap, and hand winch, as well as the base unit and the ring at the top. It doesn't give you the base ring. That's something, if you want a base ring, you got to buy that separately, or if you want the clamp-on piece that you can attach a base ring to, which we have, but we didn't use it for the base ring. We actually used it to hold our controller to the pole, kind of a different use for it, but it worked out very nicely. And he has a few other accessories you can get that aren't included in this kit, eyelets if you want, the carabiners, which we got separately also. So to just get the kit, it's $339, and I do believe because you spent he has a certain amount. If you spend a certain amount, it's free shipping. He also has coupons. Watch some of the mega middies that come up. May help you reduce some of those prices. I know those of you in Florida, there should be a code for you that are going to the Florida Mega Mini at the timing of this video. It makes perfect timing for that. So that's where we got our Mattos Sasquatch pieces, which really is the nuts and bolts of the whole tree, and then everything else goes around it. We always get our pixels from Wally's Lights. He's a great vendor. He is fantastic at communicating the process. Right now, we've got some pixels on a boat, one of his earlier pre-buys that we did, and pixel prices can fluctuate, drastically. Last year, in some of the pre-buys, we were getting 18 to 22 cents per pixel on a pre-buy. Now, they're anywhere I've seen from 29 to 36 cents per pixel, and this is 2022 pricing. It probably will go up in 2023. It all depends on the chip shortage and things that are going on in the world right now. That really does affect that. But the pricing we took is for our kind of walkthrough here is what is currently available today as of March 27th, 2022. We got our star at Gilbert Engineering. It's a 6-ring star, 270 nodes. A lot of great things you can do with that star, and it was $45 for that. Shipping, as I've mentioned in all of my videos, is high if you just buy one piece. So plan your Coro and get everything together at once. That really will help you. And then for the stripping, like I mentioned, we got it from Holiday Coro, and they have a lot of different choices you can do, and you can select the spacing, 1.55, you can do any spacing you want really on your pixels. And we bought 500 feet because you're gonna have to figure out how many feet do I need. We did 1.5 inches, so basically 100 pixels is going to be 150 inches, 12.5 feet per strip, plus a few extra holes we wanted at top and bottom. So multiply that out by 32 strips, and that's where we said we needed a 500-foot roll, and we did have a few extra feet left where we could make a couple of backup strips to replace should something go out during the holiday season. So that is where we got our stripping. And then the last place we shopped and got a lot of stuff was from Amazon. And there we got a grommet kit. And 3/8-inch grommets work great. We'll show you when we get to the workbench on how that works on the stripping. It works really well. This is where we got our bungee balls. This is where we got the tie off for the cables, for our anchor points on our guy wires. And when we get out into the yard, we'll kind of show you what we had our metalwork guy do on our pole. It really helped us. And then we bought our earth anchors, and we spent a little bit more of a premium. We got the 26-inch Predator earth anchors for the 4 corners because they're aluminum. Number one, they'll never rust. They're sound as can be. You have to use an impact driver with a 1-inch socket to drive them into the ground. They're not coming out. And for a 12.5-foot tree, it may have been a little overkill, but I like the fact they don't rust. The first year I did a tree, they started to rust in the ground, the ones that I bought. The coating on them wore off during the season, and they probably would have lasted 2 or 3 seasons before they rusted and were no longer usable. So I wanted something safe because it's holding a tree that could fall on someone or in my house. So safety is a huge factor for me. And then we got some grommets in black also off Amazon. So now let's go ahead and put up an image of our spreadsheet here. Let's get that up there. And so you can kind of see the total cost to do this build. And the tree itself, $339. We didn't pay any shipping or tax on those components when we bought it. The star, if we just bought it by itself, that would have been $15 shipping, but that would have varied. The stripping we got from Holiday Coro was $120 for the whole strip that we bought, 500 feet. And there was some shipping on that, but there was no tax. A lot of these things, when you buy them online, there's no tax. We bought our carabiners also from Mattos. It was $32, about the same price we found on Amazon. So The ones that Mattos sells are powder coated. I know you can get aluminum ones on Amazon, and I think it was like $2 cheaper to get that amount on Amazon. So we just bought all in one place because we were getting free shipping anyway. And then our pixels, of course, from Wally's $980. It was free shipping for us when we bought. So there would be free shipping, I would assume, for anybody else if you buy that kind of quantity. The tubing we had to get locally, and that's something you're going to have to source locally. And we found a metal shop here locally, and we bought a 20-foot long piece, but we had him cut it at 16 for us, and then we had him pre-drill all the holes for mounting on the winch, as well as we had him weld on some corner pieces for guy wires. And so he charged us $140 for the tubing and the work that he did. Prices are going to vary a lot, especially right now with supply and demand. So who knows what you're going to get. And then there, of course, is $14 for the grommets, and the grommet tool was $34. The base ring was just a couple of EMT pieces, and we'll show some pictures of that. We have a little video of it too. We did have our same metalworker guy bend that for us, as well as he bent a bunch of other stuff for our arches in the yard. So, I think he charged $40 labor to do all the bending we needed, but the EMT themselves was just $10 worth of EMT. The earth anchors were $154. The tie-ups were another $52. Bungee balls, $14. And the controller, this is something that's going to vary a lot, depending on if you're power injecting and what you need. But we use the F16 plus the expansion board for our controller. And we'll put a link right above here somewhere for how we did that build and why we used it with our particular tree. That's a build we did last year. And it's our main controller in our yard. So, we knew we were going to use 17 ports. So it still left us 15 ports to run everything else in the yard. And by the time we were done putting in the arches and the candy canes and everything else, we still had ports left over for some more things we may add in the 2022 season. So if you include the controller, which is a big variable, if you only need half of that, maybe it only costs you $300 to build the controller that you want. Or if you build it in an ammo case instead of a bud box like I did, using some fancier components like the boards that I attached everything to, it may have been a slightly less cost, but typically, with a controller, $2,500. Without a controller, it's about $2,000 to build this tree. Your biggest expense is going to be the lights, and it's hard to cut down on that one. So that's all the pieces we're going to do. So right now, let's first show you some pictures of how we did the hole in our yard and how that impacted us. So when we dug our hole, first thing you always want to do is you want to call 811 before you dig. It's a nationwide, I don't know if there's a different number in different states, but I think it's 811 pretty much everywhere. You want to make sure that everything is marked out perfectly before you dig a hole, because we went down 3 feet, 36 inches down. And the other thing, for safety for yourself, when they are done marking your yard, take pictures and take video of all the markings. And like in our state, you have to keep those you have to update those markings that are in your yard, and you have a 2 to 4 week window to do your work before you have to have them come out and do it again. So plan ahead when you're going to do that, depending on your state. Every state's a little bit different on that, but for your own safety, financially, mark it. And the reason why I say take pictures and videos is because you can see in this picture here, they sprayed in the yard, no PSC, which meant for us, there was no gas line. There was nothing there where we were going to do our dig. Lo and behold, they missed our gas line. We hit the gas line. We ruptured the gas line. We have a video of that too. We'll probably put that up here.
Yeah. I already got that. So it looks like all your markers are gone.
What color is the gas? The red?
Yellow.
But the flag?
No, flags is table.
That hissing sound is the sound of gas coming out of the ground. Yes, we did call 811 before you did, but they did not mark the line correctly. So now me and all my neighbors get to sit outside for a while. And look at the pretty fire trucks.
Our neighbors got displaced for 6 hours while the gas company and the fire department and everybody came to our neighborhood to evacuate and get everybody out. And the gas people had to go shut off everything in everybody's houses. And they had to repair the line in our house because whoever came out to mark our yard was incorrect when we dug. So if we hadn't had that video evidence and the picture evidence, we may have gotten hit with a huge bill for not only repairing the line, but also all the gas that got expelled into the air for about a 4.5 hour straight period of just blowing gas out. So we didn't incur a bill because we did everything correctly. So back to the main hole though, and we'll cover this live in a video. We'll talk about it again, but just briefly, we did go down 36 inches and put in a PVC tube first, and then filled that with concrete on the outside of the tube and also on the inside. And then we inserted the Mattos base into the inside of the tube where there was concrete also, and then brought that up. And then we put on one of those landscape covers that we had drilled holes in for drainage and a little bit of sand so the water can come out. And that's how we built our base for our tree. So try to follow those steps if you're going to do the in-ground. Cover your butt, protect yourself. So with that, let's go ahead and jump over to the workbench, and we're going to show you just a few of the components individually before we go out and show you all the pieces that are in the yard and putting up the tree itself. Okay, we'll see you in a second. All right, a couple of things we wanted to show you over here on the workbench. This, of course, is the Mattos topper, and basically this goes on your pole. And I do have a pole here, a smaller version of the pole. But it would slide over the pole just like this. As well as this would be sort of like the in-ground insert. And one thing I wanted to point out is we got water in here. Even though we put electrical tape on this gap, we thought maybe that would stop water from going in. It didn't. Water got in down below, which caused some rust on the inside of our main pole. Not a lot. We were able to clean it up. But for the following year, we're actually going to get a rubber gasket that we can put on the base piece. And then once we get the pole in, we can bring it up over the top to make a tight seal so that water can't get inside. That's an afterthought we had after the first year of trying it. So something you may want to do when it gets to yours. Just a quick little tip for you on yours. So let me get this pole out of here. And this is the ring that you attach your hook onto. There's all kinds of extra things. Some people put little screws in these holes underneath for guy wires coming off, but we chose to put it on our pole itself, which we'll show you when we get to that yard video footage. This hole right here is for a star mounting pole that they created. It's just a single pole, but for us, it didn't work. And let me go ahead and put a picture up here of some of the steps that we took. We actually took the pole and put it inside a piece of square tubing, and then we filled that square tubing with epoxy, so that we will be able to now mount a square pole to the inside of the bracket on the star, which we have some video footage of showing you that process. And it was just much better because even a round pipe will tend to, your star will turn in the wind if you don't secure it. This actually made it so it didn't turn at all, and we didn't have to put any extra supports on it by having a square piece attached to the rod that came up. So that was our workaround for that. This, of course, is the pulley topper that goes on the top of the pole. And some people even will put the guy wire pieces on this. But we chose to put it on our pole just below where this connects in. So that's kind of what we did with our pulley. And this is the piece that, it's an extra piece you can buy. And Mattos sells this so you can have this on your pole. And then you can connect your base ring to it. And we chose to use actually for a different purpose. In the video outside, you'll see where we mounted up higher on the pole.
and use this to hold our controller box to the pole with guy wires through these little holes that are already on it. So it was a useful piece for us to use when it came to that. I guess I should also show you now some of the yard anchor pieces that we have, just so you can see them up close. This is the 26-inch yard anchor, and these are the cable ties, and a couple uses for them. One, if it's not double loop, just one side, then you can attach your guy wire to it to go up to your tree at the top end. But when it's folded over like this, you can put it over a base ring and drive it into the ground, which is what we're going to do for next year, because we had some issues with some separation, which we'll cover in the video on the yard with our base ring when we used the maker pipes. Couldn't handle some of the upward pull while being pulled down too much. And then these also work in conjunction with these for holding the base ring to the ground in the back. And there's some add-on pieces that you can get through the company that sells these particular yard anchors. And we really like this. Most of them we left in the yard permanently because they're out of sight, but the two that were in the front part of the yard we did have to take out so that nobody trips of them during the main part of the year. And finally, we want to show you, there's the bungee balls that we use to attach these to the base ring. But I wanted to show you the little tool we have for putting on our eyelets. And it's just going to go in one side, and 3/8 actually fits very nicely. It goes one side and then on the other, like so. And then you put that on the back piece and on the front, and then you just squeeze, and there is your perfect eyelet on there. So with the eyelets in here, that's what we'll do the bungee balls, if we chose to, around the pole at the base to hold them on the bottom, or at the top. And we only use one ring, and then we have lights when we do our strips. At the bottom we have 3 that are rung, so we have some flexibility on the base. But at the top, the eyelet goes in like so, and we actually left them on all year on there. When we took them off, we left them on there, and then when you put in the poles on, it's just simply, they're on. So easy. It was really nice using the eyelets over the J-hooks. They clipped right on, and they come off very easily also when you're ready to take them off at the end of the year. So that's just some of the things that we wanted to show you with some of these pieces. And now let's go ahead and go to the yard, and it'll be a quick flash through of a lot of the different things that we're doing, because we don't need to show you putting on 32 strips or bungee bowling everything to the base ring, but we wanted to show you some components in the yard. All right, so here's our 16-foot pole. We'll just kind of start from the bottom, and you can see big old long pole. We just painted this with black paint. We're on season 2, so it's got a little bit of wear, so we are gonna retouch things up here after this season, just to kind of help with the rust, because this pole is not powder coated, this big long pole. There's our holes that we had the machine shop drill through for our winch, and we marked the back with a B, so we knew that was the back, because everything has a certain purpose. And then at the top up here, we actually had him put on some weld on our guy wire holes, and then we've marked them A, B, C, D, so every year we know which corner goes to where, because it's a different length of a wire for each one, because our yard's kind of an odd shape. Of course, here's the topper. It slides on the top of it. That's what our wire goes over for the pulley. This piece right here, which we talked about upstairs, we're going to use that for our holding our controller on. You'll see that in action. And then, of course, the winch right there, and the topper pole right there. So instead of boring you all with putting all these pieces on, we'll fast forward it and just kind of show you everything in place when it's on the pole. All right, we got everything on there. We got our little base ring down there, which we'll be using to hold our controller. And the winch is on. Our topper is on, which we had to slide on first, because we can't slide anything over the top because of the pins that are going to hold our guy wires. But these right here, this is just for when we raise it up. because if the pole tilts wrong, this can slide upward, and we don't want to do that. That could throw off the weight. So by putting a bungee on, keeps this in place because the tension from the wire is pulling it up and this is pulling it down. So that's just a safety measure for when you raise it up. And then we got everything up here, our wheel ready to go. Everything works well. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the guy wires. I don't need to show you that. Pretty easy, just sinking them through the holes. And then we're going to raise the pole. And I think we'll come back to the video when we got probably at least half of the strips on, because I don't need to show that whole process. It's very repetitive. So we'll go ahead and get my buddies over here and we'll raise the pole up. Never try to do this alone. I got 2 guys on standby and they work for beer, so it's kind of good. We'll see you. So here's the topper, and you can see that we do just 1 ring at the top, like we mentioned upstairs earlier, and at the bottom we have 3, which we'll show you when we do the ring. But we're using the canter beans for this one. They just clip right in, which is really great. But you can still use J-hooks on this, or zip ties if you choose to, whatever you think works best for your situation. I thought I would try these out because they're new. These are powder coated. They clip on real nice and easy. Haven't had any issues with them, so we're gonna go ahead and finish putting up the few remaining strips, and we'll probably fast forward through that part, and then we'll get to the base ring. Okay, there we have it. There's all our strips. So now we're gonna go to the garage and put the star together before we can put it on top. All right, here's the star. We talked about some of the things when we were upstairs, but we decided, because the Mattos kit came with this steel rod, which really doesn't fit very well in there, we put it inside square-inch tubing and then filled it with resin to hold it in place. So it's not gonna go anywhere on us. And then we've got zip ties in here. And then I cut a piece to fit in to kind of give it an extra little bit of lift, so the top edge of our square tubing lines up with the top edge here. And then simply we're just going to zip tie it in and pull it super tight. Now on this one, no matter how tight you think you can pull it, you really can't, and it has to be super tight or this will slide from the weight. So that's when this really comes in handy, because it will get it as tight as it possibly can. Then you just cut it flush. And there we have it, ready to put on top of our topper. So I kind of wanted to show you the hoop before we put it in. Just simply made with EMT that we bent. And then we made 2 levels because I have an uneven yard. So the front will level out just like sort of measuring the angle of a roof to figure out what the angle was for my yard. And then we used maker pipe connectors for the corners and for the down bin there. And then to anchor it, we are going to be using earth anchors, 10-inch ones. And I like this product because it's aluminum. It will never rust. It will be good forever. You won't be worrying about pieces breaking off because they rusted through when you're trying to get them out. And it'll do a good job holding things down to the ground. So that's why we chose this product. So I'll never have to replace it. It costs a little more up front, but I think it's worth the investment. So that is our ring. So we'll go ahead and install it, and then we will start putting the bungee balls on the bottom cord, and we'll raise this thing up for you. So for the guy wires, again, we used earth anchors. We've got 26-inch ones in the back, and they're almost all the way down there. They're all aluminum, so those ones will stay there forever. And then I have another one over there in that corner. The back ones are only at 30% angle, which is fine for a tree that's 14 feet tall. And then the front ones, I also have one there in the corner, and then over there in the corner, those are at 45-degree angles. And then, of course, they're just running up to the top off that piece that we showed you that was welded in. And they should hold the tree pretty firm in the ground. See, we've got them all bungeed at the bottom. And one thing the maker could not handle the stress of me pulling it tight, so it did loosen up. So I had to put a metal clamp in here temporarily for the season. And next year I'll make a permanent bracket. Or instead of clamping at the bottom like I have, I'll just loop and clamp at the top and bring the whole thing down, which will keep that separation from happening. But I did have to have the 2 levels for the slope yard, because you can see it's taller in the front and it gets narrower as it goes to the back. So another thing to add, the very top, I don't know if you can see it up there, but I have this wire, and it's just a little steel cable, and that's because there's a lot of weight on the front. So when you lower it, if you don't have something attached to that to keep tension, the plate will tip forward and you will not be able to get it down. It will be stuck up there. So attach something to the back side if you're only doing a half 180 degree. That's a good sabering tip for you. To hold the box, we took this clamp that came with the Mattos kit, which is supposed to be to attach the base ring to, but I made my own and don't want to attach the base ring to the actual pole for some separation. But that will help, and it's just wire clamped on. And of course we got the F16 with the expansion. We're running right now 16 for the tree, 1 for the star, and then I'm using about 4 other ports for other items in the yard right now, so I still got room to grow. Got 2 other clamps on the back side also holding it down, and those again are with the aluminum earth anchors. They're just 10 inches that I have here in the yard because I don't need too much to hold this down. They hold up to 500 pounds of pressure. And you can see that I've got the ones in there also. But that's pretty much it for the pole. It did a great job. And now I guess the next thing to show you would be the tree all lit up and how cool it is.
Hey everybody, well that's going to do it for our video on the Sasquatch Mega Tree. We hope you enjoyed it and got enough information out of this video to help make up your mind as to whether or not this product would be a good fit for your display. I know for us personally, it was a huge impact upgrading from our original little 8-foot tree that we started out with to this giant 12-foot, in our minds, colossal tree for the size of yard that we have. It made a great impact on our show, and overall we have nothing but good things to say about how it looked and it worked in our display. We want to thank you for stopping by and watching our video. For those of you who are going to be in Florida, today is Saturday. We are about a week away, less than a week away. We will see a lot of you down there in Florida. Please make sure to stop by and say hello. We'd love to share some stories with you while you're down there. And like I mentioned near the very beginning of this video, we do have another contest. We haven't done one in a while, and we actually won this prize last year at the Christmas Expo, but we don't do any animatronics, so we are going to give away a full Mattos animatronic kit. And all you have to do to enter into this contest is like the video number 1, and then you have to be a subscriber of ours, which we're going to put up right over here so you can subscribe, and we'll give it away at the end of the month. We'll also put a couple of video links up here. But for now, guys, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate all of your support out there, and we'll see some of you in Florida.